Are we jumping 34 years ahead now?
Ooh, why not?
Why not, indeed? We're getting into the good stuff, I think, now. At least, well, I would say so. But
yeah, so you're going to tell us about the Parallax View?
I certainly am.
Ooh, exciting.
Well, only you can be the judge of that, Scott. The 70s really were an interesting time for America. And coming off the back of several high-profile political assassinations and into its golden period, Hollywood made the most of the fertile conspiratorial groundwork laid by the political landscape of the 60s and offered us a plethora of entertainment centred on shady corporations, shadowy assassins and general paranoia about the state of the world. 3 Days of the Condor, The Conversation, Marathon Man, All the President's Men, the list goes on. 1974's The Parallax View is one of the higher profile entries in the subgenre. While it might not be considered quite as classic as some of those others I mentioned, it is a really, really good movie that I first took to heart a long time ago and I haven't let go of since. Warren Beatty is Joseph Frady, a third-tier newspaper reporter considered an irresponsible pain in the ass by his editor and assorted peers, and to be honest, they're not wrong. Frady is present during the assassination of a US senator atop the Seattle Space Needle, an act soon consigned to the history books as the act of a deranged lone gunman. It is only 3 years later when immediate witnesses to the event, including one of Frady's former romantic attachments, are revealed to be dying in alarming numbers, that our anti-hero starts taking things seriously and digs further into his former lover's claims of a conspiracy. The trail eventually leads Frady to the wonderfully nebulously named Parallax Corporation, who operate at a global level as trainers and brokers for the services of assassins, recruited from among the ranks of society's ostracised and loners. As he uncovers more about their operations and observes further assassinations, Frady infiltrates Parallax via their recruitment program, quickly finding himself in way over his head and past the point of no return. Can he reveal the truth about the corporation before they discover the nature of Frady's true identity? Ooh, you'll just have to wait and see. There isn't an argument I would make for The Parallax View as a perfect movie. There are points where it appears to chicken out and panders to studio norms, a really unnecessary car chase being an obvious example, and some really creaky decisions around the edges. Can't afford to blow up a plane on the runway? Try taking a frame of airport and jiggling it about a bit. What it does do really well, however, and this is something that I yearn dearly for a return to, is that it adheres to mostly forgotten 70s mentalities of placing some trust in an audience's intelligence by showing and not telling. The plot is somewhat necessarily convoluted in places, but there are no characters who speak primarily in exposition dump. Each character has a purpose, each fits neatly in place, leaving us to figure out how the cogs are affecting the overall mechanism as the hands tick round for 100 minutes. The supporting cast are, it goes without saying, uniformly fantastic in that effortless 70s way, but Beatty's performance among all this is just so brilliantly understated and detached to the point of nihilism, which ultimately it needs to be in order to explain how a person could find themselves in such a position as Frady does in the final moments of the film. It's a steep buy-in, particularly if a viewer were expecting a sympathetic hero to channel their interest, but a brilliant payoff that doesn't settle for justice and a neat resolution. I would also highlight that 70s Beatty is one of those rare examples where I totally understand why women were throwing themselves at a guy's feet, because he is hot as in this movie. I continue to lobby for a Men with Beautiful Hair episode of the podcast that revolves around this performance from Beatty and Kurt Russell in Tango and Cash. Back to the matter in hand, however. Pacula's direction is pleasantly restrained, with lingering takes and wide shots that are happy to park themselves while the story unfolds, punctuated by occasional bold jump cuts to the unexpected, which help to reinforce a sense of paranoia and an entity operating at a level beyond the obvious. It also contains moments of genius, such as the Salmon Tail Dam sequence, whose apocalyptic siren sound first freaked me the out 25 years ago, and still does the same today. You might have noticed I have really rose-tinted glasses when it comes to movies from the 70s, but listen, I'm happy to lend them to you for a couple of hours. The Parallax View is my jam, and I like to spread it thick. I freaking love this film.
Yeah, so I'm going to disappoint you, Craig, because I don't.
That's alright.
This is the second time I've seen this, and
Contrarian. Disinformation alert, guys.
It's meh. I find it just so dreary. I mean, there's parts of the film I like, certainly, and I really like the ending, even though how we get to the ending makes not a lick of sense. Because it relies pretty much entirely on luck. Because up to that point, you've got like the characters being directed to do things, and then that last final bit, like how he gets to that stadium, or the arena, is just luck. And it's like, no, you kind of ruined that there. My biggest one is, you're talking about Warren Beatty being kind of laid back to the point of nihilism. And that's what, for me, it's more like laid back to the point of, why did he even bother turning up? He's rubbish. I think
But
he's
his hair
terrible
too.
in this.
His hair's so dreamy.
Can!
I'm not certain, but I think this may be the only Warren Beatty film I've ever seen.
You know, I was thinking the same. I've not really seen an awful lot of Warren Beatty at all.
I don't think I've seen another Warren Beatty film.
I'm not tempted to check anything else out on the strength of this. The other point should be to, yes, creepy sound at the dam, but then that whole sequence I can never get because they spent like 3.5 hours in a really interesting car chase across some dirt roads in a police car, which I've not seen 800,000 times in 1970s films in particular.
The car chase thing is super disappointing because it just doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's got that really annoying bit. And actually, in my notes for another film, I've mentioned this in particular, these car chases from the 70s, but it has that really dreary thing to it. It's always those rubbishy 1970s police cars. It's always on the same types of roads, and there's always that thing they must do of showing you a slow motion shot of it jumping over a
thing.
A small ramp.
Yeah,
and
pretty much anything will do.
2 or 3 different angles of the same jump.
It's funny. The reason I hate that so much is that actual shot of basically some sort of souped up Chevy going off just some sort of minimalist ramp just to get 3 feet of air or something like that is. It's in this movie. You know it's purely in this movie so that they could take a publicity still of it and put it in a cinema lobby somewhere promoting the film. So you'd look at it and go, this film's got a cool car jumping off a thing in it, and it's got nothing to do with the film whatsoever. It's the one bit of this film that I don't like.
It's such a pedestrian chase as well. Yeah, so there are bits in here that I'd like to like more than I do, and I probably enjoyed it more on this viewing than my first one, which was only last year or the year before, I think. But I just kind of find it boring, and Warren Beatty's so laid back that he's on a plane with a bomb in it, and he isn't fussed even vaguely that he's on a plane with a bomb and is about to die.
But that's the least effective way I can communicate this bomb threat to anyone.
Yeah, but then he's sitting there watching, waiting for this woman to pick up this napkin that he's written the bomb threat on, and he's kind of like, are you going to just pick up rather than sweating because he's about to die?
The thing I love most about it is that he's only just forcibly come off a boat because it got blown up. And he's thought, I know what I'll do next. I've tried getting blown up on a boat. Man, I've always wanted to get blown up on a plane. I absolutely love it. I also love the fact, always cracks me up about this film was that notion that essentially in the US back then, planes were just buses with wings. Yeah. You could literally get on a plane and pay for it when you got on. Yeah. That absolutely blows my mind. I can't fathom how all those hijackings happened.
It took me a while to realise that's what was happening there. It's just such an alien concept. It's like, why is he paying? Is he buying a drink? No,
the air stewardess is conductor. Right. Yeah.
What? It did subvert my expectations.
I've never seen anything like that before. It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's subverting my expectations a little bit by being a fake airline that didn't actually blow up kind of on camera. So just couldn't afford to actually do it on camera. So I suppose it still blew up. Didn't quite subvert my expectations enough.
It also goes that one wee bit too far, because the idea of them like recruiting like the disenchanted people, Craig, and using those questionnaires and stuff. That seems quite feasible, and then they go full Ipcris file for a bit. Yeah, it's just unnecessary.
I suppose I'm somewhere between you guys on it. I liked it okay. I probably liked it more than Alan Packlet's other films, in as much as I can remember anything of Clute. I think I actually like Clute quite a bit, but
I've never seen Clute.
I'm kind of freaked out about going back to it because obviously everyone thinks that All the President's Men is his best film, and I didn't really care for that very much. So I probably actually like this a bit more than All the President's Men. It's a bit less dull, but it does still have quite a long stretch of dull parts in it. But it's almost worth it for the ending. I guess kind of in line with Drew, there's lots of things here that I wish I'd liked more, and the bits that I do like are kind of far enough apart that it's kind of struggle to maintain interest levels in it all the way through. I guess I give it a mild recommendation. There's some bold choices in terms of the way that the conspiracy goes, and also in the way that the Parallax Corporation are brainwashing people, and that little brainwashing montage went on for quite a bit longer than I was imagining that it would. I'm not sure what the story of that is.
It's in there purely to be that moment where you're sitting watching it and someone sticks their head into the room and goes, "What are you watching?"
Yes, Clockwork Orange. It is not, and yes, it's okay. I'm afraid, get all that excited about it, but I'm glad you like it. So, yeah.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad you're glad for me. It's more than Drew managed. Can't you just be happy for me, Drew?
No. Weird question.
Oh. That's fine. I get it.